What's up, HenryBlitzFam? Today, we are going to make a tier list of characters in Streetball Allstar per position. Before everything else, huge shout out to Malorias for making this awesome tier list, without which this video will not be possible. Again, before everything else, these are purely my opinion on these characters based on their skill set and considering other factors such as how they effectively play or even go beyond their role or position. This doesn't mean that the characters above the list will always guarantee you wins, and that those characters in the bottom of the list are to be avoided totally. We need to recognize the fact that specific lineups may have good synergy even though the characters are not that good enough individually. For now though, the basis of these rankings is on their individual gameplay and skill set, in general and broad terms. First, let's start with the C role. If you want to know further about how characters are placed in each tier, please refer to my previous video as to how I categorized and defined each character. Just a quick preview though, the characters under the Ace tier are one of a kind of their specific role, which are pretty much used in a competitive setting because they go way beyond their expected roles and are normally an effective two-way players. Meanwhile, those in the S tier are those in the meta or are the most effective ones compared to others and are used way more in higher ranks as well, as their skill set alone are powerful enough to warrant them to be in this tier. As for the A tier characters, they are the good backup characters in case you don't have the available meta characters or you simply want to surprise the enemies with an off-meta pick. B tier, meanwhile, are for those so-called this-can-do characters that are not that much trash, but they are not that good either and can only be good in specific setups. Lastly, those in the C tier are characters you often would want to avoid because they are simply not viable for competitive gameplay and need skill revamps and buffs to be more viable. Still, at the end of the day, these are all just my personal take and observation. And as always, it's always up to you and your teammates at the end of the day. Anyway, let's get started. Let's start with Alan. I will be placing Alan in the top B tier, even though I think he deserves more recognition. Alan's mechanics is simply to grab rebounds with his high rebound stats and to go for alley-oop three-point passes. This is even more effective because he has flash pass. What you want to do as Alan is to team up with a three-point shooter like a Fire King and alley a three-point for him. Fire King can go for a fake, and when the enemy fell for it and jumped for the block, Fire King can pass the ball to Alan where he can flash pass back to Fire King for an easy three. The enemy big may be forced to double-team your shooter, but that leaves you open inside for an open two. He also has rebounding pass, which is actually good to immediately pass the ball while on the air, giving room for open shot opportunities. However, with the recent buff on the Chatterbox affix, Alan's shooter need not be double-teamed. Their shooter's guard can just stand in front and don't even have to attempt to block. Just stand close and disturbance is enough to make them miss their shots. Therefore, Alan is now an outdated C, unless they make a nerf or adjustment on the Chatterbox affix. Now let's go with Amy. I will be placing Amy in the C tier because she doesn't seem to have anything in her skill set but pure rebounds. She has enhanced rebound like Vanessa and rebounding pass like Emma, but she is just outshined by those two characters. She also has box-out resistance and a unique level 4 anti-box-out that allows her to go in front after being boxed out. But that's just it. She is just so much outshined by others in terms of blocking shots, confronting dunks, setting up screens, and many more. Amy needs a major buff, I would say. Next in line, we have Andrew. I am placing Andrew in the S tier. Back when I was a Vanessa user and he was released, I simply cannot appreciate much of Andrew because he kind of lacks in rebound based on my observation. However, eventually, I realized how overpowered he is as I climbed the ladder. Back when Lon was not introduced yet, he would be your bet when it comes to countering dunks after Desaui and Robbie because of his high block and power stats, as well as his provocative skill that reduces hit rate and level 4 intimidating block that further reduces accuracy. He also has quick rebound that allows him to be competitive when competing with rebounds. What I like the most of Andrew, though, is his quick pick and roll. This used to be a spammable skill, which is a very cheap mechanic when combined with speed bump suitafix. With the recent nerf, though, it now has a cooldown. Nevertheless, he is a good screener with this skill, and you can even set up plays right after the serve ball, which are often done by higher ranks especially when they go versus more inexperienced ones. We now have here an OG center, Big Mike. I would place him in the B tier, below Alan. He is occasionally good with his high power and block stats, especially against dunkers. He can even be a good substitute with Desaui and Lon. He is simply a center built for blocking both shots and dunks with his skills. He also have a level 4 Thunder dunk just like Howie, which can be countered by other high-powered centers. Also, in terms of blocking, he is just simply outshined by a lot more other characters such as Robbie, Andrew, Lon, Desaui, among others, which is the reason why he is just not used as you progress in rank. Now let's talk about Bigo. I am putting him just above Amy in the C tier. He is a solid rebounder just like Amy with a rebounding pass skill, and can do level 4 double pump dunks and dunking pass. Apart from that, he is just nothing at all in terms of blocks and screens. His double pump dunk can even be countered by other high-powered centers as well, so he would be staying down here. Up next, we have Big Joan. I am placing her in the A tier. She is not the best, but is still a good option when it comes to rebounding and blocking. What makes her even better than other centers below her is her capability to rebound even when boxed out and to block even if when screened. With the boom of screeners in the game like Lon, Andrew, Robbie, and Lily, Big Joan is a great counter in those kind of screen-to-shooter setups. Now we have here Desaui, which we will be putting in the A tier just above Big Joan. If Joan has resisting the rebound skill, Desaui has a level 4 box-out resistance skill. What makes Desaui even better is that he has the highest block and power stats in the game, which is just especially perfect counter against dunkers with his increased strength on blocking, thanks to his explosive block skill. What's more, when he blocks, he doesn't just grab the ball, he directly passes it afterwards. I was contemplating on getting him to the S tier, but he simply is too much slow to catch up with speedy shooters, and there are simply better options for blocking dunks such as Robbie, Andrew, Lon, and even Emily with her chase block skill. Speaking of Emily, we would be placing her in the S tier, just below Andrew. I remember back, then her fingertip block is so OP that she can even legally goaltend block shots that she had to be nerfed. However, with her recent buff of having an additional dunk confrontation on her new level 4 chase block, which was even buffed further after with additional block range, she is just unstoppable. She also has level 4 sever skill, with an additional 15% steal success rate, which is a lot. She even has a quick rebound, allowing her to be decent when contesting rebounds inside. However, Andrew is a bit better when it comes to playmaking as he can set quick good screens, and he is also a more consistent dunk blocker. Emily's fingertip block also doesn't grab the ball, which allows the enemy big to just rebound the ball afterwards. Still, Emily is overpowered enough to reserve her a set in the meta. Now, let's tackle Emma. I would place her in the A tier, above Big Joan. Back when repetitive dunking was not yet of a meta and there would be no other time-limited centers except Robbie and Allen, Emma used to be one of the best centers. She specializes a lot on rebounds with her rebounding pass, anti-box out, and most especially, level 4 air dominator skill, which is unique to her. It simply buffs her box out and further enhances her rebound while in the box out state. She even is a good playmaker with her level 4 skillful screen that gives her increased screen range and buff nearby shooters. However, she is just simply outshined by a lot of other centers, especially Lon that is simply better than her in all of what was stated above. Next, we have the fan favorite Howie because of his dream shake. Unfortunately, he is just so outshined that I would be placing him the most bottom of the C tier. He simply doesn't have the stats to be a good defensive player. He can be a good offensive option with his level 4 Thunder Dunk and level 4 Dream Shake. However, those can be easily countered by even just decent blockers. He needs to be buffed real much, or he will remain just as irrelevant. Now let's move on to Lon. I'll be placing her in the top S tier, above everyone else except the ace character. She doesn't have a massive block range, but that is compensated by her Vigilant Stance dash skill, which is even better when combined with her Vigilant block. What separates her from other centers is her viability to block both shots and dunks with her high block and power stats, as well as decent block range and dash to easily fill in. Say for example, Andrew and Desaui are so good against dunkers, but they are a bit too slow for shooters. Malik and Emily are good counter against shooters, but they may be weaker when guarding dunkers. Lon simply has them all. Personally though, I think she is not that overpowered and is relatively balanced. but she surely is much useful to warrant her this position. What's more, she is an insane offense facilitator as well with her block and cover skill, increasing her screen range similar to Lily's. Lastly, a tip that a lot doesn't know, her vigilant stance dash can be used to counter their big that is already boxing out inside, allowing you to negate box-out effects, and to even grab the rebound faster. Now let's have Malik, which I will be placing just behind Emily in the S tier. If this video was made 2 months ago, she should definitely be above Emily by a lot. However, with the recent buffs on Emily's level 4 chase block that allows her to be a viable option against dunkers as compared with Malik, she just deserves a higher spot. Still, Malik is still overpowered simply due to his level 4 flying block that has a massive range that he can reach even from the side. That's how insane his block range is. He is also a decent rebounder with her enhanced box out, so he sure is a good choice. Also, he is still banned so much in higher ranks, as he is an extreme counter against shooters with his block reaction time. At this part of the video, we are going with Robbie, which we will be placing in the ace tier. I am contemplating between Robbie and Lon, but I ended up with Robbie for some reasons. To begin with, what makes Robbie overpowered is his enormous character model, which gives him advantage while screening. It's even more insane when you have his epic skin, White Devil. If I am not wrong, his screen range with such screen is even wider than Lan's block and cover. Moreover, it's not just the screen range, but the space that his massive suit occupies, which makes it difficult for enemies to see where Robbie's allies are during screen. He is simply a pay-to-win character, and you can even go further of having his pay-to-win skin, the White Devil. Of course, it doesn't end there. He also is insanely good at blocking both dunks and shots with his switching mode skill that allows her to adapt based on the enemy type and his grabbing block. Lastly, he is an even better rebounder because aside from he takes massive space while boxing out, he even has an enhanced rebound skill. He simply has it all and is a good two-way player defensively with his adaptive defense mechanisms and offensively with his big space for screens. Now let's have Sarah. I am placing her in the bottom B tier, unfortunately. She is a decent rebounder with her quick rebound and box-out resistance skill, but she is not just that good other than that, especially defensively. She has level 4 hook shot that doesn't reduce accuracy for fakes, and she can even shoot threes, but she is just a major liability other than that. The current meta for bigs and centers simply call for defensive ones and those that are capable of facilitating offense, and she simply is none of the above. Next in line, we have Vanessa, which I will be placing in the A tier just below Emma. I used to be a Vanessa main, and she is simply the jack of all trades of centers. What's good with Vanessa is that she has the highest rebound range, and it's even better with her enhanced rebound skill and level 4 quick rebound skill. She also is a fair blocker with her enhanced block and level 4 mighty grabbing block, which makes him a good defensive player. However, I think Emma is fairly better simply because she has skills specialized for rebound and she facilitates offense better with her moving screen. Vanessa is a go-to, boring type of center but lacks the characteristics to belong in the meta. Last but not the least, we have Victor, which I will be placing in the B tier above Big Mike. I see him in higher ranks every once in a while simply because he is a decent defensive option as a center with his high block and power stats, and his enhanced block and grabbing block skills. He also facilitates offense with his key pick skill. However, these skills are simply done better by other characters in higher tiers such as Lon and Andrew, so Victor stays here, unfortunately. Well, that should be it for our today's video. As usual, consider subscribing if you've liked my videos. You can see my IGNs in different games and my other socials in the description box below. Feel free to browse through SBA's official platforms as well. Enjoy playing and hooping, everyone. HenryBlitz here, signing off.